This is Hashtag History, episode 118. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Leah.
And here we are, nearing the end of yet another season. It really does come and go so quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes. Sometimes.
No, this one definitely did.
It did. This one felt like it went so fast. This week, we're finally tackling a topic that I have been wanting to cover for ages, but it's daunting. Mm-hmm. There is so much information and so much importance in doing it right and doing it justice.
Right.
Because this week, we are talking about Princess Diana, more accurately, Diana, Princess of Wales, who married into the British royal family in 1981, becoming one of the most cherished, loved, and misunderstood figures in history, all before her absolutely tragic and untimely death in 1997 when she was only 36 years old. Looking at those numbers next to each other is kind of alarming, right? Like she married in 1981 and then she died in 1997. That is
it's
a really short
stint there. Yeah.
That's really sad.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much to say about Diana, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I admire so much about her, but that doesn't mean she was a perfect person. Mm-hmm. She was human, as we all are, and I look forward to being able to tell her story and to portray Diana as the human that she was to the best of our abilities. I'm extra thrilled about how we will be covering this topic because Leah is likewise a huge fan of Princess Diana. I know that you've cited her before as like one of your favorite women in history. Mm-hmm. And so with that in mind, Leah and I are actually splitting up different pieces of the episode with each of us doing our own bits of research. So you'll get the opportunity to hear from both of us for this Princess Diana series.
Yay.
It's a huge topic to tackle and one that is so important to the both of us to get right. So I think the best way to do this topic justice was to split up certain topics so we could fully give those pieces our efforts and our energy.
Yeah.
But before we dive into the story, we, as always, must dive into this drink before us. Shall we just get it over with?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Leah.
And this is Hashtag History, the podcast for both history nerds and history haters alike,
where we dive into history's greatest stories of controversy, conspiracy, and corruption.
Another shout out to our friends from Luminol, who sponsored a total of 5 cocktails for us this season. So thank you so much. You gals are so sweet, and we just can't thank you enough for supporting our drinking endeavors.
No, thank you. It's one of our favorite features about ourselves. So thank you for supporting that.
So now on to the cocktail.
Yeah, which you all heard us kind of gagging a moment ago.
Right.
We're like really excited about this cocktail.
So excited.
We're so excited.
Yeah.
Don't let that gagging persuade you otherwise.
Right. You should definitely try this cocktail yourself.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. There are endless cocktails honoring or paying homage to Lady Di online, but the one that stood out to me amongst the throng was one called the Lady Diana, and it was on the Drink Kings website, which I believe is just thedrinkkings.com.
Okay.
Mostly because it was ingredients that I feel like most people have in their bar.
Yeah.
So it's just an ounce of gin,
Woohoo.
an ounce of Campari. Which I think we had in season 1 and then we haven't had since, right?
We did have it again for somewhere in there was like season 4 or 5 for the circus one, the circus fire.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I feel like because that was a fiery red
yeah.
drink. And I remember us having the same conversation where it was like, we haven't had this in so long. Maybe our minds have changed. And he was like, that was one of the worst cocktails we ever had on the podcast, in my personal opinion.
Great.
Yeah.
Maybe I blacked it out because I don't recall.
It was awful.
Okay.
To remind you, it was horrible.
Yeah. And then you're supposed to add 3/4 ounce of lime juice, a dash of simple syrup, and then there's a lime peel spiral to garnish, cut by yours truly.
My
yeah.
truly.
Your truly.
Me truly.
Your truly.
It's fine. I'm not a professional. I should have watched a YouTube video. It turned out okay.
I think it turned out
You'll see
great.
on Instagram when we post the picture.
Yeah, so you shake the gin, Campari, lime, and simple syrup into a cocktail shaker with ice, strain the contents of the shaker into a chilled cocktail glass, and then you garnish with the lime peel spiral and serve. While I don't necessarily have any trivia or info about the history of this particular cocktail, I do have some fun information on Diana and her drinking habits. habits.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah. So Darren McGrady, a former royal chef for the royal family, shared with Marie Claire that while Diana wasn't a, quote, big drinker, she did fancy herself a tipple, and those are his words, of Chardonnay here and there.
Okay.
Apparently, Poligny Montrachet was the most commonly served wine during his time working at Kensington Palace for Diana.
I would love to do a Google search and see how much a bottle of that goes for.
Yeah.
Or do they not even give it to us peasants?
Right. I don't even think you can look it up. Yeah. I don't even think you can search it.
It's their personal vineyard.
And he confirmed that Diana steered clear of champagne, which apparently gave her the giggles.
Oh, funny.
Red wine, which gave her headaches.
Relate.
And cocktails, which would, quote, zap her out completely.
Also relate.
Not sure what that means, though.
I guess
you get sleepy after drinking cocktails?
That's what my assumption was, which has definitely happened to me many a time, where it's like one drink and it's like,
oh, yeah.
All right, now I need to take a
I just
nap.
assume that's one drink in general.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. So needless to say, Lady Di probably wouldn't have approved of the plethora of cocktails named in her honor that I found online, but maybe she would have given us a nod of approval.
Yeah, I like to think she would.
Right.
I guess it depends on how we do with the episodes.
Right. And our reaction. Is it dignified?
Oh. Is our reaction to the cocktail dignified?
Correct.
It will not be. It will not be.
She might like that.
Yeah, she was cool.
She was cool.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Everything except the Campari, I think. And the Campari,
everything except the thing that I hate is great.
The Campari, it's actually not the worst thing. Like, I don't want to vomit.
Okay, yeah.
It just leaves kind of a gross thing in the back of my throat. Like is
bitter
it a flavor? Yeah, it's very bitter.
Yeah. I don't mind it as much as I thought I was going to.
5.
5. I'll go with 5. I mean, I would say that 5 is a pretty solid rating for something that has gin and Campari in it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. It's fine.
And it's pure alcohol.
It's pure alcohol, which we have a long episode ahead of us.
Yeah, I'm probably going to down most of mine right now, and then
sustenance.
We have some Taco Bell here.
We have an entire box of Taco Bell in front of us.
Yeah, if you hear chomping in the background, it's me.
And it's just because sustenance. That's the only reason why. Yeah.
I don't want this Taco Bell.
No, but it's paired with a purely alcoholic drink.
Right.
Yeah.
Very classy over here.
Diana would be so proud. Diana Frances Spencer was born on July 1st, 1961 in Norfolk. She was born to her parents, John and Frances, and was their third daughter. Apparently, her parents were kind of bummed when they had Diana because they were hoping for a boy. They so desperately didn't want another girl that they didn't even select a name for Diana until a week after her birth. Tragically, they had a son 1 year prior to Diana's birth, but he had passed away only 10 hours after he was born.
That's like I know they weren't royals, but like that's a very like throughout history, you want a boy and then you have a boy. It's very Game of Thronesy.
Yeah, I when I was putting together this part of the research, it did kind of remind me of Anastasia. Like they had girl after girl after girl, and then when they had a boy, he had hemophilia. So yeah, even when they did finally have a son, he was not very healthy. I think it's kind of this weird, ominous thing that does surround royal circles.
Well, I mean, when you put so much pressure and expectation on this one thing, having a boy, I feel like that's karma.
I actually would agree with you. Like it's almost a fate kind of thing.
Yeah, you're tempting fate, man.
Right. They would eventually have a son after Diana, but I think it's pretty clear and safe to say that she came into the world already a bit at odds. Now, although Diana would later become known as the People's Princess, and she certainly was the most relatable royal member to date, she definitely was no stranger to royalty. Her grandmother had been a lady-in-waiting to Queen Elizabeth, which meant that her grandma was an assistant and a personal friend to the queen. The multi-room house, and I say multi-room because I kind of saw different numbers in different places in my sources, most agreed that it was like a 9 to 10 bedroom house that Diana grew up in. 9 to 10 bedroom house that she grew up in.
Yeah.
This was also the house where she was born. This house was leased from Queen Elizabeth. Can you even believe that? The house you were born and raised in is leased from the queen.
Yeah, and that's why I said, like, I know they weren't royals, but they really were living, like, it's not, they were posh. Or,
yes.
I don't know if that's the right term. They were living very comfortably and very adjacent to royalty.
Definitely. I think that's safe to say. I mean, they grew up with full-time staff.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yes. So whenever and I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit, but whenever people are like, Diana was just a normal girl.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, is she more normal than a royal?
Yeah.
Yeah. And more relatable. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But still like living
Definitely.
with a valet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we'll talk about that shortly too, that what made her a little relatable and more normal was she was the first person to marry into royalty that had a job. And again, we'll talk about this later. She didn't need the job.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
It was cool that she had a job that makes her relatable, but it was unnecessary. She did it because she wanted to, not because she needed to.
Right.
Her family was super wealthy and they often frequented royal parties and events. But as we know, growing up wealthy doesn't mean that you had a good childhood, although I'm sure it helps. In
Right.
I'm sure it's kind of nice in some aspects. Author Andrew Morton, whom we'll be hearing a lot about and from over our series on Princess Diana, said of Diana's childhood, quote, "It was a childhood where she wanted for nothing materially, but everything emotionally," unquote.
I feel like that is where you get the trade-off when you say like you grew up with money or something. I feel like that tends to be
a theme. Yeah.
Yeah.
Diana's older sisters were at boarding school for most of her youth, so she grew up rather lonely. Her parents, who had a 12-year age gap, something that I mentioned since that will also eventually be the age gap between Diana and Charles, had a rather unhappy marriage. They fought constantly. There's this awful story that Diana told about hiding behind a door during one of her parents' fights, and from there, she witnessed her father slap her mother across the face. Amazingly, and I use the word amazingly because I'm clearly at a very different stage in my life, Diana's mother, who has birthed 4 children, isn't even 30 years old at this point. I think that that's an important thing to think about, right?
I didn't realize that.
She has 4 kids. She's not even 30. She's married to a man that's more than a decade older than her. There are all of these emotional and psychological pressures placed on her to have a son, and a lot of guilt that it was her fault that she was unable to have a son for so long. It's always the woman's fault, even though science would say otherwise.
Yeah.
She cried all the time. I think
I can relate to that.
There's a lot going on here. I can't even imagine. She's young. She's married to someone she can't relate to. He's so much older than her. She has a million kids. It kind of feels like her youth was taken from her.
It was.
And so you see her now in her late 20s, early 30s kind of start to live that life that, when I say amazingly, I'm not in the stage that she was in. She's now morphing into the stage that I'm kind of in.
Right.
now we're starting to
into
me, you, into me now. She started spending a lot of time outside of the home and was going into town a lot, into London, seeing shows and going out to eat and meeting people. She met a man named Peter Kidd and she began a life with him. She brought her kids with her to London and that's where they resided the majority of the time. This wouldn't last long though, and Diana's father would eventually file for divorce and request full custody of the kids, and he would get it. Well, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. You weren't surprised. I don't even know why I put that in the notes. Obviously, he won this custody battle. In the divorce proceedings, her own mother, so Diana's grandma, Diana's mom's mom, she even testified against her own daughter, saying she was a bad mother.
Well, because it goes against everything that whole society was raised to believe and do.
Yeah, had the dad been cheating,
that's a different story.
That's a different story and maybe acceptable and normal.
Right.
But the fact that she stepped out, quote unquote, on the family makes her a bad mother.
Well, yeah. Horrible. She can't take care of children when she has a life of her own and an identity of her own. What are you talking about? Oh my God.
It's horrible. Her parents were officially divorced by the time Diana turned 7. And I know nowadays, while getting a divorce is obviously a very, very big deal and can absolutely dramatically and traumatically affect the divorcing couple's children, I do think it's more commonplace now, right? I mean, aren't current statistics like 50% of marriages end in divorce? So I think now, with current statistics, it's way more common. But this wasn't the case in the 1960s. In the 1960s, you're looking at a divorce rate of roughly 2%.
I didn't realize it was that low.
Yeah, and I should clarify with my research, I could not find stats for the UK. This was for the US, and so I'm just assuming they're roughly the same.
Assume the UK is even lower.
That's what I'm going to say, or maybe even less.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the United States, during the 1960s, divorce rates did end up getting higher, but early 1960s.
Well, yeah, the summer of love, baby.
I know, huh? And women started getting autonomy and stuff.
What?
It's crazy. But yeah, early 1960s, roughly 2%. So when Diana was going to school, she said she was the only kid in her classroom that had divorced parents.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be hard. And I mean, it's sad, but nowadays it's like half the class has divorced parents.
Even when we were kids 20 years ago. I like half the kids had divorced parents.
It was almost uncommon, like, oh, your parents are still together?
Yeah.
It's almost, I mean, I would say now it's uncommon to have people that have parents that are still together.
At the very least, it's not assumed.
No, it's definitely not assumed.
Yeah.
When Diana would go to visit her mother on the weekends, she said her mom would start sobbing about halfway through the weekend and would continue to sob until the children left, miserable about them going back home to their dads.
Oh, gosh.
And I feel bad for her mom, but imagine as a kid,
Oh, yeah.
Do I want to go to mom's on the weekend if she cries the whole time I'm there and then I feel bad about going back to my dad's? It's such a horrible position to put the kids in.
Absolutely.
In 1975, when Diana was 13 years old, she officially received the title of Lady, and her father officially inherited the title of Earl of Spencer after the passing of her grandfather. Diana wasn't particularly good at school. In fact, she would drop out of school at 16 years old without the equivalent of a high school diploma. But she was really great at music and sports, particularly piano and ballet. So our listeners have heard us talk about our involvement in the dance world a million times, so I'm just going to lean into it even more. I want us to look here at one of my all-time favorite pictures of Diana. It's a picture I don't know that many people know.
Oh.
Have you ever seen this picture?
No, I've never seen it.
I love this picture of her.
Yeah. She looks great. So she's in a leotard and she's leaning over a decorative outdoor like vase, if you will. I don't know. And doing what would you call that? An arabesque? Yeah. I was going to say a ponche, but yeah. An arabesque.
On point shoes.
On point shoes. She's and her muscles are flexing.
Yeah. She looks amazing. I love that picture of her.
Yeah.
Her dance teacher said of her, quote, "She had dance in her soul." I realized the pure enjoyment that it gave her. She loved the freeness of being able to move and dance. She loved it. I could see it help to alleviate her emotional life, and that was hard for her at that time, unquote. Diana wanted to go pro, but at 5'10", she was told she was too tall.
Which is funny because now I'm sure that's like...
I looked it up because I knew we were going to have this conversation because I was thinking like 5'10's not that tall.
No, that's only a couple inches taller than me.
The average professional ballerina is like 5'4".
Oh, really?
Nowadays. Yes. I knew we were going to have this conversation, so I wanted to look it up. Average like NYCB dancers are like 5'3", 5'4".
I guess that's not surprising, but as an outsider, not necessarily in the professional world, we
all have long legs.
Yeah, their limbs are so long that they just look tall.
I think that's the other thing too, is if you watch a dancer on stage, they don't look as small as they are. I think because, exactly. They have short leotards on, so they show the majority of their legs, which make them look longer. Yeah. And they're in these point shoes, which extend their legs and feet by inches.
They look giant.
Definitely. Yeah, I was actually shocked to learn
that's crazy
how small professional dancers are.
You looked that up.
Because I knew we were going to have this conversation. Because as I was writing it down, I was like, 5'10", Diana, you can do whatever you want. Yeah. But even, I mean, she's too tall to be a rockette, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
She's too tall to be a professional ballerina. Her dad would eventually remarry a woman named Rain when Diana was a teenager. Diana had only met her once before they got married, and they got married without even telling the children. The kids weren't even invited to the wedding. Diana would find out about her new stepmother in the newspaper.
Ew.
Yeah. So obviously Diana was furious about this, and with valid reason. But unfortunately, she would take this fury out on her stepmother. And here's where I said we will be discussing the bad and the ugly about Diana too. When Diana was nearly 30 years old, and I want to emphasize her age, she's a grown adult.
Yeah.
And she was back home visiting family. She got so upset with her stepmother that she pushed her down a flight of stairs.
Yikes. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
From Rain's personal assistant, she said, quote, of Rain, she said, she was badly bruised and dreadfully upset. It was a cruel and heartless thing to do, unquote.
Well, yeah.
But then Diana said of this event that it, quote, gave me enormous satisfaction, unquote.
Yeah.
It's really horrendous. I tell this story because I don't think it's a well-known story of Diana, and because I do think we're going to highlight a lot of the amazing things about her in these episodes. But she was not perfect. She literally pushed her elderly stepmother down the stairs and took pride and glee in the fact that she was hurt.
Had no regret about it.
Isn't that so horrible?
That's horrible. Yeah. In the book I'm reading, there's like a quote that says like, there aren't really any bad people. There's just people that do bad things.
That's good.
And this is a perfect example of that. Like where it's nobody would say Diana's a bad person, but I mean she's a human.
And a human that did do a bad thing. Like I would say, you know, when we say like, oh, someone's human, this goes like a step beyond. Like if I was saying like you fought with your stepmom or something like that, I would never assume that you pushed her down a flight of stairs. I would say if you said like, oh yeah, I snapped back verbally at her, like,
absolutely.
Well, you're only human.
Yeah, no, that's like
extreme. Yeah.
Definitely.
That's why I tell the story, just because again, we don't want to paint Diana as a saint.
No,
and that story is pretty extreme. Whew. All right, but now we've made it to the bit of the story where Diana and Charles meet.
Joy.
Yeah, it all goes downhill from here.
Right,
it all goes down the stairs from here. There are stories that they perhaps met at some royal function when he was 17 and she was 5 years old. But this one hasn't been officially confirmed. And even if it was officially confirmed, like, does it even count?
Right. Would a 17-year-old ever actually...
Yeah, I don't think... I assume not.
Right.
He was not... A 17-year-old was not looking at a 5-year-old as a potential prospect. And I'm definitely going to assume that 5-year-old doesn't even remember that 17-year-old.
Yeah.
So the primary story we will focus on with them meeting is when Diana was 16 and Charles was 29, and he was dating Diana's older sister, Sarah. They ran into each other, and Charles said his first impression of her was that she was amusing and attractive. Diana said her first impression of him was that he was pretty amazing.
Ugh, that's the first I've heard of that.
Really? The two would not see each other again for another 3 years, but there are all these stories. I mean, she's a teenager. He's a prince.
Well, yeah. No, I get it. Everybody hates him. So.
I know. We all hate him.
The actual worst.
he's the literal worst. And we haven't even talked about him yet. He's the literal worst.
Yeah.
Between this time when they would meet again, Diana had moved into a flat in London along with 2 other women. Here she worked as a nanny and as a teacher's assistant at a nursery. And then in 1979, her mom bought her a flat as a gift for her 18th birthday.
Sounds great.
She's like so relatable.
So relatable.
She's hashtag relatable.
Absolutely.
Diana moved in there with 3 other ladies, and she continued to work both at a daycare center and as a nanny. And if this even needs to be said, after hearing that Diana received this flat as an 18th birthday present, she certainly did not need the money she earned from working, nor did she need 3 roommates to help out with the rent. She easily could have lived alone and not worked at all.
Yeah.
All of these women she lived with were in similar positions, but they consciously chose to live together because they loved the experience of having girlfriend roommates and living that 9-to-5 life. Diana actually reflected on this period of time when she was living in this flat with the other women as the happiest time of her life.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I imagine that would be really fun as long as you got along well with your roommates. And I think you do get along well with them if you're not dependent upon them.
You don't. Right? They don't have to be there. You don't have to be there, right?
Yep.
So you're there because you all choose to be and you like
there.
each other.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It sounds like a really fun time. Okay, so now on to the fateful official meet cute. In 1980, both Diana and Charles were invited to a mutual friends for a weekend. Diana was definitely crushing on Charles, and Charles was looking at her as future queen material. Diana was exceptionally appealing to the royal family for all what you and I would consider the wrong reasons.
Right.
Number one, she was young. At this point, she was 19 years old. And so she was of those prime childbearing years, which you've already kind of alluded to this. The whole purpose of a royal woman is to produce male offspring.
Right, yeah.
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 Number two, although she was familiar with royal life tangentially, she was low profile enough that she didn't have any skeletons in her closet. And 3, absolutely worst of all, she was a virgin. But wait, It gets worse than that. There is this absolutely horrendous quote from a reporter that stated, quote, her father, her uncle, Lord Fermoy, and others have even vouched for her virginity, unquote. That is so gross.
That's disgusting.
That is so gross.
That's really gross.
I bring this up because it is very important that Diana didn't have any known previous partners or known sexual history, because there was another woman that Charles was in love with at this time, another woman that, God forbid, had boyfriends before.
Right.
I mean, truly the devil.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
She had a partner at one time.
Right.
Whoa. Now, this is not a sympathy piece for Charles. We've already discussed he's the villain, really, in our Princess Diana story.
Yeah.
But I do think we have to reflect upon the fact that he was also very much stuck in this institution and this very old school way of thinking, and just kind of talk about the way that this hurts everyone involved.
Right.
In either 1971 or 1972, Charles met a woman named Camilla, and the two became instant friends. They started talking on the phone all the time, and they even officially dated for about 6 months. But while Charles was head over heels for Camilla, Camilla actually had her eyes on a certain Mr. Andrew Parker Bowles. Camilla and Andrew had been seeing each other off and on for 6 years, and her parents, growing impatient of the constantly fluctuating relationship, they actually announced in the newspaper in 1973 that Andrew had proposed to Camilla, even though he had not.
Oh my gosh.
Talk about meddling parents.
Really?
Pressured by this false announcement, Andrew did end up proposing, and he and Camilla were married in 1973. That is like such a great foundation for a marriage if I've ever heard of one.
Beautiful story.
That's a great story.
Right.
Oh, it's horrendous. I'd be ashamed. Rumor has it that Charles was absolutely devastated when he heard the news. And as they do in these royal circles, Andrew began cheating on Camilla immediately, and she resumed her very close and flirtatious friendship/relationship with Charles. Now, I bring Camilla up for 2 reasons. One, because she's going to be a major character in this story as we progress, and just the ways in which her relationship with Charles deeply wounded and affected Charles's and Diana's marriage.
Yeah.
And 2, because Camilla was not a virgin. How anyone knows that is beyond me.
Yeah.
But she therefore was not considered appropriate to be the possible future Queen of England. And thus, Diana filled that role instead. After this more official meeting between Diana and Charles, the two began what I guess we'll call dating?
Courtship.
Courting.
Courting.
Yeah. That's definitely better. They would end up seeing each other a total of 13 times over the course of the next handful of months for these very fancy but often accompanied dates. They weren't alone. They were like there's this one story, they go to the opera with like her grandma or something like that. Like, they were never alone. It didn't take long for the media to figure out who Diana was, and this press coverage would change the trajectory of the rest of her life. Hey everyone, Rachel here, and you all know that Leah and I both love to read. You also know, though, that we are busy all the time between full-time jobs, a side podcast gig, other everyday responsibilities. It can be super hard to find the time to read, and that's why we have been super enjoying Audible. Audible is the leading provider in spoken word entertainment and audiobooks. They have titles ranging from news, self-development, business, fiction, and more. Not only do they have audiobooks, though, they also have podcasts, wellness guidance programs, and more. The best thing about Audible is that you can download titles to listen to offline, anytime, anywhere, across all devices without losing your spot. And Audible has thousands of titles for you to choose from. The one I am currently listening to on Audible is Lincoln's Last Trial, the murder case that propelled him to the presidency. If you would also like to try out Audible, you can do so with a free 30-day trial now when you use our link at www.audibletrial.com/#history. Once again, that is www.audibletrial.com/#history. Thanks.
So now it's my turn.
Yes.
Let's talk media.
Oh, I can't wait.
Before I dig into like Diana specifically and her relationship with the media, I wanted to kind of give an overview of where like British media and tabloids and stuff were at the time.
Perfect. Because I do think, I'm sorry to interject so soon into your part, but I think even, so I don't know any of this stuff about like British tabloids and media, but I think if we look to American paparazzi and that kind of stuff, like through the 60s, there was kind of this understanding that you don't touch political figures or big figures. Like all of the media knew that Kennedy was having affairs, but they didn't take pictures and publish them.
In fact, they like had understandings with the Kennedy family.
Yes. But then you start to see that shift in America not long after kind of the Kennedy generation. So I assume British culture is similar.
Yeah. And I don't know that a lot of, I mean, maybe people do know this, but British tabloids, especially nowadays, are 1,000 times worse than American, like paparazzi and stuff. Like that's why
Meghan Markle
and Diana's son Harry moved away. They couldn't handle it. It's insane, like a complete invasion of privacy. And so, what's the reason for this? Like, how did it morph into that?
Yeah.
During the late 20th century, the British tabloids and media had morphed into a full-blown media monster. And this is a quote. Unapologetically provided entertainment, information, and guidance for a young, sexually informed target audience, end quote, according to a Daily Sun writer. According to an article on theguardian.com, quote, Britain is defined by its tabloid newspapers. It is the only country to have developed a competitive national popular press, and in doing so, to have created a nationwide tabloid culture. No other nation fostered newspapers that combine information and entertainment in such appealing packages that they were able to command at their height a collective audience that accounted for 85% of the entire population.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So what did all this mean for Diana?
Like misery.
Yeah.
I've answered the question?
Yes.
Okay.
A constant barrage of paparazzi following her every single move. And an endless array of articles and stories, some true and others not so true, with her at the center of their focus. In February of 1982, pictures of a pregnant Diana in a bikini while vacationing were published, causing the Queen, Elizabeth, to release a statement calling that day, quote, the blackest day in the history of British journalism.
Oh my God. Because a pregnant woman wore a bathing suit.
Yeah. And just you wait, Miss Lizzie, because this was just the beginning.
Oh my God.
Diana would go on to be photographed multiple times throughout her life topless while on a vacation, to the utter disgust of her mother-in-law. By 1995, Diana was dubbed the most photographed woman in the entire world.
Oh my God, I can't imagine that pressure.
Yeah. Her fame sold newspapers and she became a hot commodity to those selling them. The media loved her for this, even when they were being quite invasive of her personal space and privacy. There's like multiple stories of her, not like necessarily physically attacking, but yelling at paparazzi who were being aggressive and crazy towards her.
There was actually one story that I read of her that she was taking her kids to see Jurassic Park, and as she's coming out, they were hounding her so much that she ended up yelling at them, go rape someone else.
Yeah.
She said that to the paparazzi.
Yeah, yeah. And I can't blame her. I can't try to put yourself in that place of going outside anytime,
taking your kids to see a
taking
movie,
your kids with you, especially when there's kids involved, like with Diana and her two sons, and then just being like physically bombarded and encircled by these strangers.
Invasive.
Yeah, it's hard to put yourself there, but if you do, it's scary.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So according to multiple sources, Diana was actually somewhat obsessed with being in the media, especially like by the early 90s.
Yeah.
Even going so far as to allegedly tip off paparazzi on where she would be and when.
I'm glad you're saying that because I didn't do the research into the media bit. That was yours. But there is one story about her that we'll get into much, much later that implies that she wanted the media to capture something that she was doing.
Yeah, and I actually came across multiple stories of that. There's also a story of like someone who's, and again, this is all like third-party accounts or whatever, but someone said they were at like a gathering or a party or whatever, and he was talking to Diana, and then he sees her just eyeing like this pile of newspapers or something in the corner, and he was like, do you want to look at the newspapers? And she was like, yes, please.
Oh, wow.
And like she looked and she was like, oh, I had a good day today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. you don't know what the reasoning behind it is, but she was obsessed with her image in the media.
I was going to say that all context matters too, because maybe when she probably had a form of anxiety surrounding it.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's one of those things where like you check the comments for both the good and the bad, right?
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, it wasn't all good.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of it was cruel and kind of scrutinizing, like I said, her every move and judging her on things that weren't even necessarily true. So some say that this obsession she had came from a place of vanity, while most people who surrounded her claim it was actually in an effort to use the media to her own advantage, making like calculated moves and telling them to, come to events and stuff, using their attention she was getting for good.
Okay.
Either way, the constant scrutiny Diana was under definitely took its toll on her mentally and emotionally, and would eventually lead to her untimely demise, which we will get into in our next episode.
Yes. Yeah. It's really sad that like the media and her portrayal in the media it's one of the largest components of her life. When you talk about her, you can't not talk about the media.
Yeah, and I've seen and listened to some interviews from her son Harry, who married an American actress and kind of is now separate from the monarchy, really. And he fully blames paparazzi for his mother's death. He says she would be alive today if it wasn't for the media essentially chasing her down and driving her insane and driving her to do things that she wouldn't normally have done.
Yeah. That's horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And it dates all the way back to from the time she and Charles are courting. Like the moment people know her name, paparazzi, I read stories of how they were renting apartments across from hers, like to start taking pictures of
I read
her.
the same thing.
It's so gross.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's horrible. So on February 6th, 1981, Charles proposed to Diana. I want us to hear about this whole proposal experience in her own words. So I'm going to quote here an excerpt of what Diana shared with author Andrew Morton. She said, quote, "Next day I went to Windsor and I arrived about 5 o'clock and he sat me down and said, 'I've missed you so much.'"
Oh.
But there was never anything tactile about him. It was extraordinary, but I didn't have anything to go by because I had never had a boyfriend. I'd always kept them away, thought they were all trouble, and I couldn't handle it emotionally. I was very screwed up, I thought. Anyway, so he said, "Will you marry me?" And I laughed. I remember thinking, this is a joke. And I said, "Yeah, okay," and laughed. He was deadly serious. He said, "You do realize that one day you will be queen." And a voice said to me inside, "You won't be queen, but you'll have a tough role." So I thought, okay. So I said, yes. I said, "I love you so much. I love you so much." He said, "Whatever love means."
So romantic.
He said it then. So I thought that was great. I thought he meant that. And so he ran upstairs and he rang his mother. In my immaturity, which was enormous, I thought he was very much in love with me, which he was, but he always had a sort of besotted look about him. Looking back at it, but it wasn't the genuine sort. Who was this girl who was so different? But he couldn't understand it because his immaturity was quite big in that department too. For me, it felt like a call of duty, really, to go and work with the people, unquote.
Yeah.
There's so much to unpack there, so let's unpack.
Right. So first off, I feel like this just kind of leads into what their marriage would eventually become.
Yeah.
And it's an arrangement. Mm-hmm. They weren't in love. They were kind of pushed towards each other, and they were inexperienced, or at least Diana more so, inexperienced and kind of like not immature, but just naive.
Yeah.
And they're just like, "Oh, you want to get married? Oh, okay." Like I don't think you realize what you're signing up for, especially how old was she at this point? Like
she was 19.
19.
And he was like 30, essentially.
Yeah.
I think what you said is true in that they were, it's an arrangement.
Yes.
But I think for her, she is immature and she is naive. And this is her first boyfriend. Her first boyfriend of all people is it's the Prince of England.
The future king.
The future king of England.
Yeah.
And so I think she did think this was love. Like she didn't have anything to compare to. He, on the other hand, is like kind of being straight up with her. Like, do you want to get married? Cool. whatever love means. Like but to her, she doesn't understand what he's saying.
Yes.
What he's saying is, this is an arrangement.
Yes.
And like, I like you enough.
Yeah, we get along just fine.
And she's saying, I love you so much. I love you so much.
yeah.
That's
No,
horrible.
that's sad.
And then also immediately afterwards runs upstairs to tell his mummy. That was good. His mummy. Yeah. That's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
The engagement was kept private for a little more than 2 weeks. And then on February 24th, the couple did an official engagement interview. I'm sure you've seen it before.
I actually haven't.
Oh,
I'm sure maybe I have, but I haven't recently. Anyways.
okay. It is so incredibly awkward and uncomfortable.
so
No.
excited.
We're not going to watch the
Oh,
whole thing.
damn it. I'll have to watch it on my own.
I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy to watch the full thing because it'll make
Cringy.
it's cringy. It makes all your toes and fingers curl up.
Uh-huh.
But we are going to watch a very small portion of it. So keep in mind before we watch and listen to this that this was being projected to millions upon millions of people.
Okay.
Okay, so take a deep breath.
Okay. I don't
Oh, you don't need it. Oh, I do. I can already feel my body tensing up.
She's been brave enough to take me on.
And I suppose in love.
Of course. Whatever in love means.
Well, it
You can
obviously
put your own
means,
interpretation.
obviously means two very happy people.
Kill me. Kill me, kill me, kill me, kill me. Have you also watched Williams and Kate's engagement interview?
I don't know that I have. They had a relationship beforehand.
It
It's
is so
different.
It's so
Yeah.
different. Like they're laughing with each other and they're like, they're still formal.
Yeah.
They're still not sitting like super close to each other. There's still like a gap between them.
That's
enough room for Jesus.
Yeah, regardless of whatever you think of them and their marriage or whatever, like they have an actual relationship and partnership.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's different.
Ugh.
Yeah, that was painful.
It's so painful.
Well, it's especially because it outlines exactly what you just said about like her description of their engagement. Is like when asked, "Are you in love?" She kind of slyly is like, "Of course,
Yeah,
of course
of
we are."
course.
She does her little like side eye thing that she's famous for.
Uh-huh.
And what was
He
his
says,
response?
whatever in love means.
Yeah.
Can you imagine saying that? Like literally, that would be like someone saying to Alex and I, like, you guys love each other. I'm like, I love him so much. And he's like, whatever love means.
Yeah, whatever you think that means, sure.
That would literally stab me in the heart.
Yeah.
And this is to millions of people. I hate it.
Yeah, I don't love that.
I hate it. If you ever want to torture someone, just send them that YouTube link.
I'll be
because
watching it later.
I don't know why you would want to torture yourself in that way.
I love watching whatever love means. I love love.
Whatever love means, I love.
Whatever love means, I love watching like awkward things.
Oh, I can't even. It's like when something awkward is happening, I feel like I have
Well,
to
no,
like,
I feel the same way. It makes me want to crawl out of my skin, but it also makes me really appreciate that I'm not that person.
you're not that.
Right.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Diana would later say that this public interview, quote unquote, traumatized
I'm
her.
sure she was probably just thrown to the wolves, you
Yep.
know?
And also just to have your partner, your fiance, say whatever in love
Yeah,
means.
sure, buddy. Like,
And he's being, it's not fair. I'm not saying it's fair, but he's being transparent,
yeah. Yes.
which is not fair because she's so much younger and so much more naive than he is. But he is being transparent. He never said,
I'm in love
I'm in
with
love with her.
you.
I can't wait to marry this woman.
Yeah.
He's like, she'll do.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's
And he so
perfect.
much as says
She'll
that.
do.
Horrible.
Yeah.
But alas, what follows a royal engagement? A royal wedding, of course.
Of course.
Now, I think any engagement period leading up to a wedding can be a stressful time for any couple.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Or was yours not really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're also an event planner
Right.
for a living, so that's actually unfair.
It was just like I extended my workday by 2 hours.
Yes, definitely. I can only speak for my own personal experience and say that I loved wedding planning.
Yeah.
But it certainly got stressful. And
Well,
this is a
for
unique
you,
experience.
yeah.
Exactly. Because only 2 months out from our wedding was when the pandemic hit and we had to cancel and reschedule and cancel and reschedule.
Yeah, 20 times.
200 times before we ultimately just canceled the wedding completely.
Yeah.
Calling all the vendors and getting refunds and contacting family and friends to keep them updated.
I have,
It was
I'm
a
pretty
lot.
sure 2. I got 2, I'm pretty
You got
sure.
3.
3. Like
Wait.
postcards saying like,
You got 4.
yeah, saying like, sorry, rescheduling.
But again, I can only speak for myself here. And like, Alex, I married an angel, the most understanding, patient, compassionate, and selfless person that I've ever met. Truly. So although I was stressed about all the wedding stuff, I was never stressed because of him.
Right.
Like, quite the opposite. He made everything about the whole experience better.
Yeah.
That was not the case for Diana and Charles.
Yeah.
Just 1 week after the engagement, he placed his hand on her waist and said, quote, "Oh, a bit chubby here, aren't we?" Unquote. He can right off.
Well, yeah, you can.
That is, my heart's racing.
No,
after saying that.
If a man, let alone my fiance,
your fiance,
any other human being, especially a man, said that to me, I would literally karate chop them in the throat.
But I feel like, especially your partner.
Well, yeah,
that hurts so much more.
Well, and the craziest thing about that whole thing is like that's the first time he touched her there.
He's like, oh, this is what your waist feels like.
Again, Charles, we can't ever say he isn't being
transparent,
forthcoming. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was too forthcoming, in fact.
But like, yeah, someone you are suddenly getting thrown into like intimacy with, and then they throw that at you. Ugh,
it's so bad. I want to warn everyone that we will be discussing Diana's eating disorder sporadically from here forward. And I know that that can be a really triggering topic for many people. So please use care and caution if you choose to continue to listen to the episode. Diana said her bulimia began immediately after Charles made that comment. 1 week after their engagement, she began what would become a nearly decade-long battle with bulimia, a battle she would continue to face even through her pregnancies.
Which is so dangerous.
It's so dangerous. It also wasn't helpful that shortly after the engagement, Diana moved into a royal residence with zero training nor guidance for how she was supposed to behave, dress, and socialize with the royalty. Andrew Morton said of this, quote, "Diana was given less training in her new job than the average supermarket checkout operator," unquote. Very shortly after the engagement, Charles left for a trip to Australia, and Diana was left to her own devices to navigate this new life. And I think we keep talking about the through line and the relevance to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, but she said very similar things, that she didn't even know how to curtsy.
Yeah, there's all these expectations and like formalities and things that surround being part of this world, right?
Yeah.
But do you actually get a lesson on them?
And I don't understand that. Why are they being set up to fail? Shouldn't there literally be someone that's like, this is your mentor?
Yeah.
This is the person that teaches you our national anthem and
who to curtsy
how to curtsy,
who to bow to, who are you supposed to allow to shake hands with, in what order?
Yep.
Yeah.
Why isn't there someone
that's stupid?
That's literally their job.
Yeah.
And even just the formalities of things. Like, I know the first time Meghan Markle tells a story that the first time she met the Queen, they weren't expecting to meet her that day. Like, something happened where Harry was like, "Oh, actually, we're going to meet my grandma really quickly." And she's like, "Great, can't wait to meet your grandma." And Harry says to her, like, "You do know how to curtsy, right?" And she's like, "We're meeting your grandma." And he's like, "No, you're meeting the Queen."
Yeah.
Like, it's just the formalities of that too, just understanding that, like, first she's the Queen, then she's my grandma.
Yeah.
Whereas our Americanized sense of it is like, "Hey, grandma."
Yeah, and not even Americanized, right? It's just not a part of a royal family.
Yeah.
For Harry, it was
right.
second nature. He was raised in that.
Curtsy grandma before he kisses her.
To bow, curtsy, whatever to grandma. And then, let somebody else do it before I do it.
Yeah.
Like, can't approach her without somebody else approaching her first. He grew up in that. He knows it.
Yeah.
Somebody getting thrown into this world has no flippin' idea.
And why would you set someone up for failure? I just don't get that.
Yeah, at least Harry prepared her.
Yeah.
I mean, like, somewhat.
Yeah, at least he asked her beforehand, like,
you know how to curtsy.
You know how to curtsy, right?
Yeah.
Oh. And finally, I think yet another thing that certainly did not help this turbulent period in Diana's life was the realization, although she did not fully admit it to herself just yet, that Charles was still seen and sleeping with Camilla Parker Bowles. Shortly before the wedding, Diana had gone into the office of one of Charles's employees and spotted a box. She asked the employee, quote, "Ooh, what's in the parcel?" unquote, to which the employee responded, quote, "Oh, you shouldn't look at that," unquote. Diana opened the box anyway and found a bracelet Charles had bought Camilla that was engraved with the initials GF, which stood for Fred and Gladys, pet names that the two had for one another. He would give this bracelet to Camilla only 2 days before he married Diana. When Diana told her sisters about this and how she wasn't sure she could go through with the marriage, they said to her, quote, "Well, bad luck, Dutch. Your face is on the tea towels, so you're too late to chicken out," unquote.
Very supportive sisters.
That's horrible, sisterly love. That's horrible. As the sister, you say, you don't like it, you feel uncomfortable, run.
Yeah, run. If you're not okay with that, duck out.
Duck out, and I'm here to support you the entire way.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You want to go to America with me? Let's go.
Who cares that your face is on tea towels?
Yeah.
Who cares that you sent out 14 pieces of stationery? Like, if you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
All right. Back to the wedding.
Yay.
Yay. The wedding was held on July 19th, 1981 at St. Paul's Cathedral. It was watched on television by more than 750 million people, with 900,000 people lining the streets in London alone. The dress that Diana wore was absolutely iconic, with more than 10,000 pearls woven into it, a 25-foot train, and a 153-yard veil. Diana's dress was considered to be, quote, "the most closely guarded secret in fashion history," unquote, until it was revealed on the wedding day. Mm-hmm. This dress's worth is now estimated to be $115,000. Because of Diana's severe weight loss leading up to the wedding, the waistline of the dress was re-sewn over and over again. Mm-hmm. When the design process began, she was 29 inches at the waist. By the time of the wedding, she had shrunk to 23 inches.
Wow, 6 inches.
And I think, what's the math? February to July. Okay, we're going to look at just one picture from the wedding. I want us to look at a picture of the guest and then just let me know if you spot something in here. All right, so we have lovely Diana coming down the aisle.
Is that, who is that? Oh, is it Camilla?
It's Camilla.
Oh.
Who were you thinking?
It looks kind of like Dolly Parton.
That would have been great. And there's Dolly Parton.
Yeah, no. But yeah, that's Camilla.
Camilla at her wedding, and she sees her as she's coming down the aisle.
Yeah, that's hard. More than hard. That's impossible.
That's impossible. And she's just 20 years old at this
point.
point.
Can't even legally drink in the United States.
Oh my God. Fortunately she can, and she won't need it.
Yeah.
My God. Diana said of her wedding day, quote, "I think it was the worst day of my life," unquote.
Fucking horrible. That's so horrible.
That's so horrible.
And sad.
It's sad. There are stories that even Charles sobbed the night before the wedding because he too did not want to go through with it.
This is more like, this is a perfect example of like, Charles is a victim in this aspect too. Like, it's just so ridiculous and sad that there's these cycles that can't be broken and that are devastating people's lives.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is if the monarchy, listen to me like standing on this pedestal if the monarchy continues to exist, I can't speak to that kind of stuff, but like if the monarchy intends to continue to exist, it has to grow and change with time.
Yeah.
It has John
to. Watch the John Oliver recent episode on the monarchy and stuff. It was this latest season he did an episode about, or maybe it was just a segment about them. But
and about them, like how old school they are?
Yeah, just like how out of touch they are with the people and how it doesn't, like a lot of the tax money is going to funding their life.
Their lavish lifestyle.
Their lavish lifestyle. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't get it. And just from, big sister advice here, if your wedding day is the worst day of your life, don't do it.
Yeah.
Just run.
Just run. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the consequences or the cleanup.
Or the tea towels.
Or the tea towels, because that will get sorted out.
What won't get sorted out is your lifetime of misery to follow.
Right.
Their honeymoon wasn't much better.
No, how could it be?
I know, how could it be, right? Which was really sad because after the wedding, Diana actually really committed herself to making this marriage work and had even naively settled in her mind that surely Charles's affair with Camilla was over now that he was a married man. While on the honeymoon, Diana spotted him wearing cufflinks with 2 C's on them for Charles and Camilla. Diana called him out and asked if Camilla had given those to him, to which Charles responded, and this is me paraphrasing, this isn't an exact quote here, because he's like, yeah, like, what's the big deal? Unquote. Unquote officially.
Yeah.
Later, while Diana and Charles were comparing their scheduling diaries, because yes, they had to work around one another's schedules on their honeymoon. Pictures of Camilla fell out of his. Charles insisted on their honeymoon on doing activities like hunting, which did not include Diana. It was like him and his bros went hunting, and also brought along with him 8 novels.
That's a lot.
That's like a lot. Like, that's a red flag.
Right. We're avid readers
Yeah.
over here. 8 novels? On your honeymoon?
Yeah, I would say that's not unusual to like bring a book
Right.
on your vacation because you're not constantly having sex. When you're not having sex, you're chilling at a coffee shop and reading a book together. You're
Totally.
resting from your all day activities back at the hotel
Exactly.
and you're reading.
Yes.
But 8?
That tells me you don't want to, you're not down to F.
You're not boning.
You're not
You're
boning.
booking.
You're booking.
I don't even know if that's a phrase. You're booking. I mean, that's horrible. I'm sorry, Diana.
Yeah.
That's atrocious. Also, the packing, the luggage, 8 books.
Yeah. Oh, so heavy.
So heavy. This all just breaks my heart for her. She was only 20 years old.
Yeah.
And again, we've said this 100 times, but her first relationship, to which she has no bar or standard to compare to, was with the freaking Prince of England. And he's a million years older than her. He doesn't love her, and he doesn't want to love her or to make this work. And here's another trigger warning, this one for suicide, because only 3 months after the wedding, Diana began having severe suicidal thoughts. In fact, Diana would end up attempting suicide 5 times during the course of her marriage to Charles. She sought help from royal doctors, but never received any sort of counseling or support.
Yeah.
Rather, from the doctors, she received Valium.
Of course.
And from Charles, she received eye rolling and disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
He was under the impression that everything she did was only to draw attention to herself. One of these attempts would take place in January of the following year, when just 2 months after the announcement of her pregnancy with her first baby, she threw herself down a flight of stairs.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Despite that story, Diana was thrilled to be pregnant, if only because it took her mind off of everything else. However, she was unbelievably ill throughout the pregnancy, suffering from horrendous morning sickness and exhaustion. And she received zero sympathy from the royal family, Charles in particular. She was expected to attend royal events and engagements despite her condition. In fact, I have a picture of her that we should check out. This is her in 1981 at a formal event.
And I just want to circle back too, because it just shows that there is some progression and change happening, especially because it's her son. But Kate had like diagnosed really bad morning sickness where she was actually like hospitalized. And it's I can't remember the term for it, but it's actually...
There is a term, yeah.
Yeah, that was taken seriously. It was accepted. And I'm assuming it's because the person she was pregnant with and suffering from, Diana, is now married to the person who's suffering.
Yeah.
And so he has a little more empathy and understanding about it.
I actually know that. That is really... That makes me happy.
I think it was just with their first one, maybe, or maybe it was their second one. I don't remember. But
yeah.
Anyways, interesting picture.
You've probably seen this.
Oh yeah, and look at how skinny she's
so skinny. She's so thin.
Yeah, she's passed the F out.
Yeah,
but in a beautiful ball gown.
I mean, if ever there was a thing as Sleeping Beauty, that's Sleeping Beauty right there.
Yeah.
I do not look like that when I'm sleeping.
Oh no, my mouth, there would be drool coming out of my mouth. Yeah.
And I wouldn't be sitting straight up, right?
No.
This picture was taken in her very early pregnancy before it had been formally announced.
So she just looked like a crazy lady.
Oh yeah. She's sleeping during a formal event, but she was like a couple weeks pregnant at that point. She was exhausted and nauseous and miserable and still expected to attend these events.
Yeah.
Diana would end up being induced so that she and Charles could coordinate their calendars with one another for a time when the birth of their first child would be most convenient.
Yeah.
That is just wow to me. Prince William Arthur Philip Lewis was born on June 21st, 1982 at St. Mary's Hospital. Prince William would become the first future monarch to be born in a hospital as opposed to at home, and this set a tradition for the royal family.
Mm-hmm.
Not long after his birth, his christening was scheduled by royal staff without any consideration for Diana's schedule, William's schedule, or anything. And so they end up scheduling this christening and the subsequent royal family photo shoot with the new baby during what was his typical feeding time.
Just so, it takes 2 seconds to ask these questions.
God. And what else are you doing?
Yeah.
What
else are you doing?
What else are you actually doing that you couldn't, for the sake of a brand new mother and a brand new baby, push it back by like an hour?
Yeah.
Truly. So he does what every hungry newborn baby does, and he cries.
Mm-hmm.
He cries and he cries and he cries. Have you ever seen the video of this?
I haven't.
it literally hurts to watch it. Yeah, there's video footage of it, and it's so horrible because all throughout this whole photo shoot where they're surrounded by the royal family, he's just screaming. He's a newborn hungry baby whose schedule has been thrown off. And the video is super painful to watch because just from the experiences that I've heard from other mothers, there's this sense. Go ahead.
No, I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah.
It's like you feel like people are blaming you.
Yeah.
And like, not only do you have to worry about trying to comfort your child, which should be your main priority, trying to figure out, help them and do what you can to soothe them. But then you're also like, there's this social anxiety surrounding it of like people judging you and your baby annoying people.
Yes.
I was just thinking about this on our flight back.
There
was a baby that was crying the whole time. Yeah. And luckily no one said anything or anything, but I every time that happens on airplanes, I always think like, I hope no one's gonna be a bitch about this and be like, quiet down that baby. What the are they supposed to do?
What are they supposed to do? Especially because that flight in particular was a short flight. It's not like it's a long flight where you can get up and kind of bounce the baby around and walk back and forth down the aisle. I'm sure the seatbelt sign was on at that time because it was on for pretty much the whole flight because it was an up and down flight.
You literally don't ever reach
exactly
like high enough to
I know, and that's exactly what you're saying. I just think it's not your fault. That is what babies do. But there is this sense of embarrassment and guilt that your baby is disrupting the convenience of other people's lives.
I would assume even more so in this setting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, especially in the setting, she is 20 years old. I think it does help too. Like, if you're a little older and stuff, you have more of a sense of like, this is not my fault. This still sucks.
Yeah.
But like, and also it's your first baby. There's that too.
Yeah.
And it's at an event where like you're surrounded by the Queen of England.
Yes.
Okay. It's
and like affecting her schedule and
and you're a 20-year-old girl.
Yeah.
With a screaming baby. It's so awful. But while Diana may have felt unloved by the royal family, she was at this time absolutely adored by the public. And for good reason. She was so good with people. I've watched so many of her public appearances now where she is just so gracious and so humble and so down to earth. She could talk to anyone and make conversation with anyone. Whereas the public had grown used to the royal family either ignoring them or just kind of, as they're walking down, shaking hands.
How are you today? Yeah, I'm not great.
Lovely weather we have out here. Yes. Exactly. Like, that's exactly it. How long you been waiting out here? Yes, exactly. But Diana would actually get down on their level and have like real, genuine conversations with people.
Yeah.
And you would think that the royal family would love this and the way that the public grew to adore Diana. But no, of course not. They hated it.
Yeah, especially Charles. I remember, I don't know if it was him saying this or someone else, but someone just saying like Diana was capable of carrying on conversations with the public in ways that he physically couldn't. He didn't know how because he couldn't relate to them.
And and in one sense, that's okay. Like, not everyone can have a conversation with just anyone. Not everyone could do small talk.
But don't get angry about it.
But that's a strength to be able to do small talk. And I would say an asset to the royal family, but they didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
Or because of their jealousy, they couldn't see it that way.
Yeah. So we all know that essentially being a British royal in modern times and at this time means less like actual leadership of the country.
Oh, yeah. No, do they have leadership of the country?
I mean, parliament.
Yeah.
And more like kissing babies while the world has their eyes on every move you make.
And saying,
yes. Yes. So as a new member of this royal family, it was expected that Diana would represent the crown for public appearances. These appearances ranged from charity events to parliamentary ceremonies to tours of new buildings to sleeping at official ceremonies of some sort to visiting other countries on diplomatic visits. The list was endless.
Yeah.
Between 1983 and 1989 alone, Diana visited Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the USA, Australia again, Japan, Spain, Canada again, Oman, Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, Australia yet again, and Kuwait. This isn't even a complete and comprehensive list of her diplomatic tours and visits and doesn't include all of the public appearances Diana was making in England.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was endless and brutal. She carried out 191 official engagements in 1988 alone and 397 in 1991. That just gives you an idea of like the grueling schedule and appearances she was making.
I get exhausted when I have like more than one social event in a week.
We talk about this all the time. Sometimes I get home from work and I'm like, what am I supposed to do other than just go to sleep?
But truly, I did drinks on Wednesday. That means I can't meet up again until at least next Saturday.
Right.
My social calendar is
It's
booked
gone.
for the
Sorry.
week. Wow.
So unsurprisingly, these constant appearances really did take a toll on Diana. In 1983, during a tour of Australia and New Zealand, Diana was spotted bursting into tears in the car, which the official royal statement said was due to jet lag.
Okay.
Despite the grueling public appearance schedule and occasional jet lag, Diana made a fantastic impression on the public. She was beloved by most, with some even referring to her as the Diamond Princess and the jewel in the crown. In fact, most people started taking more of a liking to Diana than to her hubby, Prince Charles.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not
Are we
surprising. Which really upset the royal family, as you said, and definitely bruised Charles's ego, who often made passive-aggressive comments like, well, I'll just get out of the way then, to photographers and fans who only had eyes for Diana.
Yeah.
What made her so lovable? Her obvious love for people and the kindness she showed them. And the people she visited with just adored her.
Yeah.
In one instance, she was caught spontaneously hugging a 7-year-old child with AIDS, which given the time period was just unheard of.
Yeah, there was this major misconception about AIDS that you would get it from
touching someone.
Yeah,
which even though the science had already shown that wasn't true at that time, people still were scared of it. Diana made an effort to pay visits and support organizations that were making a difference during her tours and travels. In Brazil, she visited an organization that battled homelessness among street children. In Nepal, she visited a leprosy hospital. Her charity and kind heart were on full display, and the people just loved it and loved her. So we're going to be talking all about her charity efforts and the particular charity she was involved in next week's episode. But to sum it up, Diana herself noted that she was often drawn to charitable causes that aided people thought of as outsiders, as she herself always felt like an outsider in the royal family and even in her own family, that really, shunned and kind of disapproved of her.
It makes me so sad to hear that stuff because it truly is an asset. If you I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand the jealousy. It's like, please, if you are good with people, that is your job.
Yeah.
In this royal family that we have, your job is to be relatable to people and to meet with those that need attention and awareness. And my job will be signing documents and the things that aren't public facing. We're a team here, but I guess maybe that's what it is. They were never a team.
Yeah.
But it's like, as a team, each player has their roles, and she's fantastic in this role. Let her shine in it. It only makes the overall team look better.
Yeah.
To continue on what you were saying about Charles being super jealous of this public adoration, I actually saw this public speech that he made once where he said, quote, "I've come to the conclusion that really it would have been far easier to have 2 wives." You're nodding. I assume you saw this one.
Yeah.
He continues, "to have covered both sides of the street, and I could have walked the middle directing the operation," unquote.
I'm sorry.
It's gross.
Ew.
I, again, don't understand the jealousy. Why not be proud of your wife for the way she has enchanted and engaged this country that you and your family represent? On September 15th, 1984, Diana's and Charles's second son, Henry Harry Charles Albert David, was born. Diana said that in the 6 weeks leading up to Harry's birth, she and Charles were the closest they had ever been. But this all changed after the birth. Diana had known for some time that she was giving birth to another son, but she had not shared this information with Charles ahead of the birth because she knew that Charles wanted a daughter. Less than an hour after they returned to Kensington following Harry's birth, Charles took off to play polo.
I'm sorry. She has no control over it.
She has no control over it, but I also feel like that is but maybe not if you're not communicating with each other much. That's a really difficult secret to like keep from your partner.
Oh, yeah.
How do you keep the sex of your baby a secret from your partner?
Yikes.
Like, that's a difficult thing unless you don't have a conventional partnership.
Right.
Diana loved being a mother, and she was really committed to giving her sons as normal of a life as possible. She oftentimes would take them to school herself. She would attend their sporting events. There's all those great photos of her like running in the races.
Yeah.
She would take them out to eat in public. They would go to like fast food restaurants. She would ride public transportation with them and so on. She would be quoted as saying, quote, "I live for my sons. I would be lost without them," unquote. Her love for her sons and for being a mother didn't soothe the pain that she felt in her marriage, though. I'm not going to go into details of her suicide attempts because they are really gruesome and horrendous and upsetting to hear. Charles was incredibly demeaning to Diana, never complimenting her, constantly criticizing her behavior and her clothing choices, and regularly putting her down for her intellect. And like we said in the intro, we're not going to paint Diana as a saint either. She was cruel to Charles too.
Yeah.
She would tell him that he looked dumb in his uniforms, that he looked stupid with all the medals that he wore, and she would tease him that he would never be king one day.
Ugh.
Diana would also learn about this time that Charles and Camilla were officially seeing each other once again after a period of time in which they were not. It was an unbelievably unhappy marriage that would lead to an array of affairs on both of their parts and an eventual nasty divorce. But that is for next week's episode. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of Hashtag History.
We will share the pictures that we discussed on the episode to our Instagram, and all sources used can be found on our website at hashtaghistory-pod.com.
Subscribe to us on whatever podcast platform you use, share about us with your family and friends, and then give us a rate and review.
Be sure to check us out on social media.
Yes.
We're on Instagram at #history_podcast, and we're also on TikTok, so check us out there at #history, all one word.
And come join us over on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you can help support our books and booze supply. You also get access to some behind-the-scenes content, weekly Hashtag Hangout episodes, an automatic 15% off all merchandise, and we mail you cards and stickers.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
As you all know, as we near the end of another season, we will be bringing a special guest on the show for our final episode of Season 12. So be sure to stay tuned next week towards the end to hear more about that.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. In Norfolk.
Did I say that right?
Norfolk?
I feel like most people don't really pronounce the L. It's like Norfolk.
Okay.
That's how I've heard
That
it.
sounds good. Want another... Wait, did I say she was their third daughter? Did I say those words out loud?
I don't know.
I don't think I did.
Oh!
Sorry. That literally made me stomach.
I'm so sorry. Do you need something? I'm so sorry.
Which I just finished the season where Rob Stark at the wedding.
I told you the red wedding.
Oh, yes. Now I understand the references. Whoa.
Whoa. I already feel this drink.
Do you really?
I mean, I know
it's
two
all-
shots of
Me too.
alcohol.
Sustenance.
Yeah.
No, I just have a very reactive
I
stomach.
I know.
Oh my god. Like even when Alex like burps, I'm like, please don't burp. Because it just literally makes my stomach.
I'm gonna try really hard not to like.
No, it's okay. But your reaction literally made my stomach flip upside down.
Oh shit.
Do you need some
No, I
I was gonna say I have this too.
No, I'm good.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
She said she was the only kid in her class. Oh. In tacos. It is the tacos. It's literally cheese that's in my throat. And arrived. I was gonna try. I know it just starts with anyway. This is it. Like I said, this is an excerpt. This is part of a long story.
Yeah.
But this where I cut it off at starts at anyway, as I was saying.
That's so funny.
And I was considering doing a British accent, but I would embarrass
Everyone.
Diana's
involved.
memory
Right.
and the queen herself if I did. So
King.
the king himself. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Whoa. Forgot what year we were in.
Yeah.
Whoa. For the way that she has enchanted